Good evening, Florida, and welcome to Coastal Conservative News, where truth has a backbone and freedom still has a home. I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger. We're bringing you the bold stories, the real headlines, and the voices that matter most right here from the heart of the free state of Florida.
Yes, from Tallahassee to the Suncoast, we're tracking the political shifts, community victories, and constitutional battles shaping the future of our state and our nation.
So buckle up. It's time to get informed, get fired up, and get involved. This is CCN Coastal Conservative News.
All right, guys, let's kick things off with Katie and your week in review.
Thank you, Allie and Michelle. I'm Katie with CCN's Week in Review. A bombshell scandal is rocking California. Governor Gavin Newsom faces allegations of misusing money raised to help families rebuild after the 2025 LA fires. The money never made it to the victims, not $1. Instead, the money was quietly funneled into a tangled web of nonprofit organizations, which many have nothing to do with fire relief at all. According to the Assemblyman Kevin Kiley, this appears to be yet another calculated move by Gavin Newsom to enrich his political machine under the guise of charity. Kiley wrote on Instagram, "The $100 million raised at the Celebrity Fire Aid concert, none actually went to the LA fire victims. Instead, the money went to nonprofits. Many have nothing to do with the fire relief. I've asked Attorney General Pam Bondi to open an investigation." This shocking revelation was echoed by Spencer Pratt, who took to Instagram to blast Newsom's fraudulent scheme. The Hill star didn't hold back. He stated the obvious: Newsom is exploiting tragedy for personal and political gain. Spencer Pratt's house was completely burnt down in the 2025 Palisades fire. His wife, Heidi, shared her grief on the recent podcast, The Fame Game. Fire victims are left with ashes, while Gavin Newsom profits behind the scenes. The people are furious, and the calls for accountability are growing louder. A-list celebs are demanding answers. Many are demanding immediate action against Gavin Newsom, a full investigation, criminal charges, and a new governor. California deserves better. Fire victims deserve justice, and Gavin Newsom deserves to be held accountable. We will continue to follow this story as it unfolds. A powerful rescue mission unfolded in Jacksonville, where 25 missing children were safely recovered. Real heroes in action, law enforcement, prosecutors, nonprofits, and advocates coming together under the banner of National Child Protection Task Force. The Tim Tebow Foundation stood shoulder to shoulder with the operation, backing the mission with unwavering support. Tim Tebow, who has been in this fight, was there, quietly encouraging the teams and staying in constant prayer. Hosted at the Jacksonville Base Intercept office and powered by Operation Light Shine, this was the first mission of its kind in Northeast Florida. Advanced tech, trauma-informed care, and old-fashioned grit led to successful recovery of 25 children, some of whom had been missing for over a year. Tim Tebow explained, "As someone who stood in that room and witnessed the prayer, the planning, and the tears, I can tell you this: the light shined through. Evil did not win." Governor Ron DeSantis is stepping in to protect Florida's taxpayers. On July 22nd, the governor announced that Gainesville has raised property taxes by over 85% in just 4 years, while the city's budget has grown by nearly $90 million per year. That kind of spending far outspaces the city's population growth. Despite repeated requests, Gainesville leaders have failed to explain where the money is actually going. Now the Florida governor and the Florida CFO are sending in the state's watchdog team, Doge, to investigate how these tax dollars are being used. As the governor put it, transparency is no longer optional. If local leaders are wasting or misusing your money, DeSantis will expose it and put a stop to it. Yesterday, Governor Ron DeSantis held a press conference in Bradenton, Florida, honoring the late wrestling legend Hulk Hogan. It was briefly disrupted when a protester launched into a vulgar, profanity-laced outburst aimed at Governor Ron DeSantis. The governor was speaking at the Manatee Performing Arts Center, reflecting on Hogan's life and legacy, including his impact on American sports, entertainment, and his recent walk with Christ. When the man began shouting from the crowd,
"Hey, what's up? Hey, stop. I'm get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. Get out of here. So you used to have the closed circuit, so you would.
The individual hurled accusations related to federal investigations into Jeffrey Epstein, made offensive claims about DeSantis, and screamed about alligator Alcatraz. As deputies from the Manatee County Sheriff Office escorted him out, the man continued shouting profanities and making obscene gestures. Governor DeSantis remained calm and composed, briefly responding with a firm "get out of here," before refocusing the event on what mattered, honoring a Florida icon. DeSantis stated, "I remember WrestleMania 3. DeSantis went on praising Hulk Hogan for his strength, influence, and recent turn to faith in Jesus Christ. CCN extends our heartfelt condolences to the family and fans of Terry Bollea, better known as Hulk Hogan." Stay tuned and stay free. See you next week on CCN's Week in Review.
Hi.
Hello, how are you?
We are here to get an IV.
An IV. I heard you have an IV room?
Yeah, absolutely. You just head right back this way.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Knock, knock. Hello. Hi, I'm Michelle.
I'm Sarah.
Sarah, this
Hi,
is Al.
Allie. Nice to see you.
How can I help you?
We're stressed. We're
Yeah.
moms. We've got multitasking going on. I feel like I fall victim to like a brain fog a little bit. I don't know if that's my age or whatnot.
You need a little bit of clarity, a little bit of energy.
Yep.
Is there of an IV that you would recommend for that? Thank you.
We call this the brainstorm.
The brainstorm.
The brainstorm.
Come visit We the People Health and Wellness Center.
Where medical freedom exists.
Welcome back to CCN. Thank you so much, Katie, for that report. Now, here is Raj Doraswami with our Suncoast Community segment.
Hi guys, and welcome to Suncoast Community segment right here on CCN. I know this looks a little different. Instead of Raj taking the segment, we're putting him in the hot seat because Raj is Raj is doing what we always tell you guys to do. He's getting involved even just beyond what he normally does in his 9-to-5 job. This is Raj Doraswami, who you see as the head of the Suncoast Community segment, but you're also the founder of Defend Florida. So Raj, what did you do that got you in such hot water?
Well, first, Ali and Michelle, thanks for having me, and just so great to be on this side. I see you guys killing it on open mic.
Thanks.
Top show on Patriot TV, and also the main anchors for CCN. But what did we do to get ourselves in trouble? So we have been traveling the entire state of Florida, having town hall meetings, and all we're doing, at least all I thought we were doing, is we were showing people that were interested how to do three things. One, how they can get a higher level of candidate to run. And by that, I mean a candidate that doesn't just represent our values, but a candidate that also has the communication skills, the listening skills, the persuasion skills to persuade the low information voter to vote for them. So we're doing that. Then we were talking to people about how they can raise more money earlier.
Okay.
And the reason we're doing that is oftentimes people that we want to win, they work hard, they door knock. I mean, case example, both of you.
Right.
You guys outworked,
Yep.
outperformed everybody, were leading, and then somehow, when the election results came out, you were not victorious. So how do you raise more money earlier so that our candidates can actually get over the finish line? So that was the second thing we're talking about. So far, harmless, I thought. I thought it was harmless.
Right?
I thought it was
Common
harmless.
sense. Great.
And the third thing is how these groups can work together, because we have a lot of hardworking groups, not just elections, which is what Defend Florida focuses on, but also works on by people, parental rights, health freedom. You guys were just at a school board meeting yesterday, bringing the truth, and they couldn't handle the truth. They really couldn't handle. They were having a meltdown because of what you guys were saying. But we were talking about how groups in those different spaces can come together to increase their footprint. Michelle, that's all we were doing.
So what did the RPOF do?
The Republican Party of Florida. What did they do?
They sent a letter to every chair in each of the 67 counties. They sent the same letter to the heads of the clubs in each county. The first letter was, okay, it was weird, but they said, hey, don't endorse, support, or join the Reclaim campaign and they put Reclaim campaign together with Planned Parenthood, Reclaim campaign, and the League of Women Voters.
What?
Wow.
So I was like, okay. But yet, groups throughout the state wanted us to come and talk to them.
Yeah.
So we did. And then they sent a second letter. Really? I mean, why are we taking so much attention? So they sent the second letter, and in the second letter, they actually said, Raj Doraswami, Defend Florida, Reclaim campaign, you organize, the heads of these clubs, you are not permitted to interact with him.
Wow.
How totalitarian.
Sounds like Evan Power has a Napoleon complex. I don't know. Is that too much?
Well, like what Ali said, so it's so weird, Ali. You hit the nail on the head, Ali, because, where I grew up, Ethiopia, Zambia, Zimbabwe, that's what happens there. You got a few thugs, and these thugs intimidate people, put fear into people, and they tell people what they can or cannot do.
Can or cannot say.
They can or cannot say. And if you violate that, you disappear. You get killed. I mean, that's what happens in Zimbabwe. So for the Republican Party, I still can't get over it.
It is really, it's quite jarring to know that we have a sitting chair who is in charge of leadership for the Republican Party of Florida is dictating how he feels clubs are supposed to run under his leadership by exclusionary practices, by discriminatory practices, based on what exactly? Because you're not Planned Parenthood. You don't have anything to do with what Planned Parenthood does. You don't have anything to do with what the League of Women Voters does or advocates for. What you are advocating for is strategic planning for campaigns.
Which sounds like it's the job of the party, which obviously the party's not doing effectively.
Exactly, which is why only their selected candidates who bend the knee, kiss the ring, and play the game, right, do what they're told, they're handled, and listen to their consultants and listen to their handlers are the ones who get across the finish line, and not the ones that are actually true America First, who are outworking and outpacing, not out fundraising, which is what you're
trying to help
them with, but they're not effective.
You have to tell us. So now, okay, it's just like anything else when you're told to stay away from something and not to do something. Now I'm more intrigued and interested.
Yes.
What is the Reclaim campaign that's got the RPOF and Evan Power so fired up?
So the Reclaim campaign is not another group. We don't need another group.
Right.
We're simply a strategy. And, the reality is the people that are working Reclaim, the volunteers, we have for years recruited people into the Republican Party because we actually believe in the ideals of the Republican Party. Donald Trump has made it clear. Yep. I'll just mention two. One of the things he said for the Republican Party is the return to common sense.
It's it's his platform.
Yes.
That has been amplified since 2016.
And we agree with that.
Yes, we do.
He also calls for collaboration. We agree with that. But what is happening now, to answer your question, Michelle, this Reclaim campaign is a conference. It's taking place just in a few days here in Venice, 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. Reclaimcampaign.com. There's still a few tickets left. Depending when you watch this, if you want to attend, we have a whole group of operators. These aren't celebrity speakers that you might see on great shows like Steve Bannon or The War Room or Alex Jones. These are operators, people that are in Florida that are actually working with legislators, working with supervisors of elections, collaborating with them, helping improve our process, people that are experts in the health freedom space. Our own Susan Sweeten from We the People Health and Wellness Center right here in Venice. One of the leaders in the health movement is one of the speakers, Kathy Chamberlain. On and on. We just have these speakers that are going to be training and showing how we as Floridians can do 7 things. I'll just mention 3 again. How to get better quality candidates that'll get you over the finish line, how to raise more money earlier, and how to collaborate to increase your political footprint. We're going to be covering those ideas and 4 other objectives as well. And yet, even though the establishment sent these letters out, even though they've done all of these things, the interest in this idea continues to surge. And you mentioned something really important a few seconds ago. You see, the RPOF, as I understand it, I'm not a paid politician. I don't make money off of politics, unlike the people that run the RPOF, who actually do make money through their consulting companies that they own, the companies that print the postcards for the candidates that they own, the companies that do the lobbying that they own. Unlike those, I'm not a paid politician. So as I understand the role of the RPOF, is simply 2 things. 1, register Floridians into the Republican Party, and 2, make sure a Republican wins in the general election.
Yep.
Right.
That's it.
That's it.
We're trying to, just like you said, fill in the gap, work with primaries, trying to get folks like you when you guys run again, because I hope you do. You have to run. That's a different show. But that you're victorious and successful.
Yeah. I agree with that 100%, Raj. And I can see why this is rattling some feathers only for those who maybe don't want to see that happen. That's all I can think of, because this would, common sense would tell you this would be good for the conservative movement, America First movement, and Republican Party.
Why wouldn't you want to work with people that are doing this?
Well,
why wouldn't you?
And Allie, you and I just spoke at a club, the South Tampa Club, where they were given the same letter that said these 2 are not allowed to speak. They were not given permission to speak at your club, and you could lose your charter affiliation if you allow them to speak. This is reminiscent of the argument we had when some people thought that pastors should turn in their sermons to the government to check them before they did. How is the Republican Party of Florida behaving any different? Isn't that reminiscent of that?
It's so weird. It's like, back in the dark days before Trump got back in, even when Obama was running things, you remember how the government began to penalize people for what they did? If you were a baker and you didn't want to bake a cake for a gay couple, bad things would happen to you.
Right.
If you spoke out against the way the pandemic was being executed, bad things would happen to you. I can't believe that here in Florida, they are saying that if you deviate from the leadership requirements that these few people are saying, bad things will happen to you. I can't believe we're the people doing that. And, you talked about, we talked about foreign countries. My friends, in every dictatorial regime that's currently right now in the world, they start by saying, we want unity, and if you dissent from our message, you will face retribution. That's what they mean by unity. That's not unity, that's censorship.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
conformity.
Compliance.
Yes. Exactly right.
Yeah.
And
in the free state of Florida?
That's the
While
weird
they
part.
tout the free state of Florida.
That's a weird
Meanwhile,
part.
we have a club that is literally running our Republican Party like dictators. Very interesting.
And here's the other thing, Raj. I'm not sure if our viewers know. I know you all are very well informed of this, but we have had duly elected state committee men and state committee women that were on the ballot, for example, Manatee County. The people spoke. They did their Democratic Republic duty. They did their duty. They elected these people. And then to have the Republican Party of Florida, after using your tax dollars for these ballots and for this election, they turned around and removed not only the Republican Executive Committee in that county, but also your state committee man and woman who you elected. So it feels like really the battle of Republican versus Republican is actually the David and Goliath fight is happening and being instigated from the top of the Republican Party of Florida. Would you agree?
Yes, because the actions that they've taken are exactly what you just described. Just yesterday, someone else from another county was removed. So the conundrum here is we find the reality is we go to the 67 counties, many of the leaders of the Republican executive committees in those counties, many of the leaders of those clubs in those counties are currently operating in fear. What I mean by that is they have told me, we would very much like to work with you. We believe in the ideals that you are promoting. However, if we do, we are afraid that we will be removed from office. So at the end of the day, we can't be in a state where we are operating in fear from the most powerful political party in our state. The fact that people have now allowed themselves to become so afraid and so intimidated, if nothing else, that has to stop.
Right.
You know, if the RPOF leadership doesn't agree with what we're doing, that's their prerogative. If they think that what we're doing is not a good idea, that's their prerogative. But they're not allowed to act on that prerogative as the RPOF, because RPOF has two goals: register people in the Republican Party, make sure a Republican wins in the general election. That's it. All of these letters forcing and controlling what their leaders do at the county level, coercing, that's not American, it's not Republican, and I don't know why they continue to do it, despite all of the whiplash, the encouragement. Magazine after magazine, report after reporter is beginning to pick this story up.
Yes.
There's one last thing I want to say. If the Republican Party of Florida would at least share a vision for what we as a state should do, that would be something else. But instead, not only are they doing what they're doing here, they've spent so much time, effort, and money on fighting other groups like the Florida FRA, Florida Republican Assembly. They have taken the focus of where we can go, like President Trump is trying to do, and instead focus it on this infighting and this conflict within the state. It's just an example of an organization that appears to have lost its way, no vision, no plan, and when you don't have a vision and a plan, all that remains is infighting.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
One thing I would like to say is the average age in a Republican Party is about 65.
Wow.
Not to be crass, but it's going to die off if we do not get fresh faces and fresh ideas into the Republican Party. And what the leadership of the Republican Party is doing is they're kneecapping us at the knees. How are we supposed to advance America first, Florida first, Montana first, Texas first, Tennessee first agenda and initiatives if we're being kneecapped? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and what you said is so true, Raj. This starts with the failed leadership. If you don't provide the people a vision, it works in our home. If you don't have a vision, there's a lot of infighting. That we're looking for a vision, a strong vision, and that starts with the Republican Party of Florida Chair Evan Power, Bill Helmlich, even your local REC chairs here in Sarasota. I'm speaking specifically to Jack Brill. Where is the vision? I want to know from Jack Brill, where is the vision to keep and maintain the school board? Where is the vision, Jack Brill, to keep and maintain the county commission? Where is the vision, Jack Brill, to get strong America First, since you tie yourself with Trump's agenda and campaign? Where is that strong America First candidate that's going to represent us in the legislature? We need a strong vision. Otherwise, others will come forward with that. So, Raj, what is the call to action that you want our viewers? How can they help? What can they do to get involved? And what is your ask from them today?
So thank you, Michelle.
Yeah.
First, depending when you see this, if you're seeing this before Saturday, July 26th, please do register. We may have a few tickets still left. reclaimcampaign.com. Regardless of whether or not you show up there, I want to ask you, wherever you're watching this from, to focus on 3 ideas. Number 1, we have elections coming up in March of 2026, and then we have elections coming up, primary elections in August of 2026. Have you identified the people in your community that will run for school board, legislation, Senate, county commission? Have you trained them? Have you vetted them? Have you started raising money for those races now? Have you got a plan on how you can collaborate with other groups in your community so you can increase your footprint, so we can compete with the problems that we've been discussing here? If you're interested in how to do that, please visit reclaimcampaign.com. We have ideas, we have blueprints, we have experts from across the state that are excelling in those areas, And you can use that blueprint in your community. At the end of the day, if I could use an example from the Bible, Jesus described two people. One person, when pressure came, they crumbled. The other, when pressure came, they withstood. The only difference between these two people, the example of the man who built his house on the sand that crumbled, and the example of the man who built his house on the rock that persisted, the only difference between the two was not their education, not their experience, not their savvy, not even their connections. The only difference between the two was one was a hearer only, and the other one was a doer as well. So at the end of the day, the call to action, my friends, is be a doer of what you're hearing on this show, on this interview, on the CCN program, on open mic. Be a doer of what you're hearing, not just hear only. And if you do that, and we do that in numbers, we can totally bring this back to where it needs to be. And importantly, President Trump is only going to be there for a short period of time. If we do this now, we'll set a foundation. So no matter who they try to replace President Trump with, we'll have a foundation at the local level that will continue the vision that he has set forth for our country, which is individual freedoms, more prosperity, more choice, more peace in our nation.
I love that, guys. Make sure that you follow us, like, share, and subscribe. Coastal Conservative News on all social media platforms. That's the CCN, not the other one. And guys, make sure you reach out to us at contact@coastalconservativenews.com if you have any suggestions, any questions, or if something's going on in your area of Florida. We want to make sure we get you the tools you need to succeed. Raj, thank you for what you do here at CCN with the Suncoast Community segment, out there in the community making a difference. Make sure you guys go to reclaimcampaign.com. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you, Raj, for that report. It was kind of fun to be able to interview him for a change, right?
Right, absolutely.
Next up is our Political Pulse segment right here on CCN.
Welcome to Political Pulse right here on Coastal Conservative News. I'm Allie Leger.
And I'm Michelle Posey. This is where policy meets principle, and Florida sets the standard literally for the rest of the nation.
That's exactly right. Tonight, from deportation dominance to gator-guarded detention centers, from budget accountability to redistricting and representation, Florida continues to lead the charge and stir the pot.
We like to think that we're a small part of that pot stirring. I don't know.
Absolutely.
Let's begin with what some are calling the deportation surge. Sheriff Grady Judd, God, we love Sheriff Grady Judd.
Polk County.
He says Florida is doing what the feds can't or won't. It's pretty interesting.
Absolutely. Sheriff Grady Judd laid it out plainly. Florida's illegal alien arrest operations are outpacing federal deportation efforts. Check this out.
Yeah, that's amazing. I almost wonder, Allie, if that's because, nationwide they've got to deal with these states that factor in that are actually wanting to harbor these illegal aliens. It's kind of interesting. According to Florida Voice News, the state's multi-agency coordination led by Governor DeSantis and Attorney General Uthmeier has put more criminal illegals behind bars and on the path to deportation than ICE has managed on a national level. I just want to take a break here. And I didn't know that we had an illegal immigration issue. A lot of us tried to run on that topic in 2024. We were told there wasn't such a thing.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
Well, this isn't just a statistic, it's a statement. Florida is providing or proving that when states assert sovereignty and enforce the law, the system works.
It absolutely does. And the results? Safer communities, fewer repeat offenders, and a louder call for the rest of the country to follow suit. Come on, guys. Get it together.
I mean, of course. And they're self-deporting. So
I love that.
That's amazing.
Never mind, I'm not going to say
These flights are taking off, and we are getting rid of those that are here illegally.
Yes.
Speaking of legal lines being crossed, the University of Miami is under federal investigation for prioritizing undocumented applicants for scholarships, potentially violating federal law.
So much for America First and Florida First, right?
Right.
It's one of 5 schools now facing scrutiny for allegedly giving preferential financial treatment to non-citizens over legal residents.
That is definitely an offense. Taxpayer-funded education should reflect equal access under the law, not political agendas.
Yeah, and Florida's showing once again that if you push the limits of legality, we'll shine a spotlight right on it.
And get rid of it, that's for sure.
I love that. Guys, newly instated Florida CFO, Chief Financial Officer Blaise Ingoglia, isn't wasting time, and he's not mincing words either.
In a strong statement, he called out local municipalities for misusing taxpayer funds while begging for more money from the state.
All the time, right? Now I get it from my counties where they say that I previously represented Pasco, Hernando, Citrus, and Sumter counties, and now we get appropriation requests and asking for money. The first thing I ask myself is, do they need the money? What is the money being expended for? But I think the question we need to ask is, the counties who are requesting the money actually spending the money that they have wisely? And what will frustrate me is when I see a county egregiously spending, not being good stewards of the taxpayer dollars, and then all of a sudden put in appropriation requests. So to answer your question in terms of accountability, I think that if a county, municipality, city, any government entity is putting in a appropriation request because they want more money, and we have proven through Florida Doge efforts, through the audits through the CFO's office, that they are wasting the money that they have right now, they shouldn't be allowed to ask for any more money. We as a state should not give them an appropriation of $10, $15 million if A, they're sitting on a bunch of money in their coffers right now in their investment funds and their reserves, or if they've proven that they're not good stewards of the taxpayer money. If you need money for something and you don't have money, then that is a difference than if you have the money and you're wasting the money and then you're asking the money. We're not going to pour good money after bad.
Wow, he said, and we're quoting, "We will not reward bad behavior with more dollars." That's exactly the kind of physical discipline voters want to hear. And guys, I want to remind you that this is why it's important for the legislation that comes out of the House to really not touch your local municipalities. They need to be able to govern themselves.
And I think having a strong CFO is going to prove to be very helpful for the people of Florida. So I'm excited to see what he is going to do with this term that he is in. And this message comes at a time when accountability in every corner of government couldn't be more crucial.
Oh, that's so true. Okay, Allie, move us on to Alligator Alcatraz.
Yes, and speaking of critical and creative law enforcement strategies, could we soon see a second Alligator Alcatraz?
Oh, and like a trolley that takes you from the first one to the second one? Clay County Sheriff Michelle Cook, hey, good name, Michelle, says they're ready to support the construction of another gator-guarded illegal alien holding facility modeled after the one already operational in Central Florida. Take a look at this tweet.
Clay County tends to be pretty conservative in general, and most of the people that live here are very supportive of the president's efforts and the governor's efforts. The governor has come out and said that they want to make sure Alligator Alcatraz is fully up to speed before they open up another potential camp up here in Camp Blanding. But our citizens are, for the most part, very responsive and very supportive of the efforts.
That's 2 counties, multiple agencies, and a state not backing down. This is the Florida model for deterrence through unapologetic strength that is going to explode across the nation.
Yeah, and it's working. And we were saying that, once this illegal immigration policy, problem is solved, maybe we send sex offenders there.
Absolutely. They have a 100% recidivism rate, like reoccurring. Yeah. So I think that's important.
I like that.
Now, Governor DeSantis also made headlines this week with an announcement on Florida's ongoing Doge audit, the Division of Government Efficiency. Yeah, listen to this.
Things that we've worked hard on this year has been this idea of Doging all areas of government. And that obviously started with the Trump administration, President Elon Musk, and really looking at the federal government. Obviously, we know there's a lot of problems with how the federal government operates. But we looked in Florida and said, even though we have the second lowest spending per capita in the country, even though we've paid down record amounts of outstanding state debt, just since I've been governor, even though we're cutting taxes, we're doing all this, we have the lowest number of state workers per capita of any state in the country. We want to look at ourselves at the state level, and particularly at our universities. And so we did an executive order ordering all the agencies.
He emphasized this audit will root out corruption, redundancy, and fiscal waste, ensuring every dollar is used wisely.
And Hillsborough County isn't waiting on results. They've just installed their own Doge team and newly appointed member, Jake Hoffman. And he is actually joining the task force to lead the transparency efforts locally.
Absolutely. We're grateful for him. Quote, smart government, less waste, more results. That's the Florida blueprint. And we're going to have Jake joining us momentarily here on Coastal Conservative News. We can't wait.
All right, you guys, thanks for joining us. We have Jake Hoffman joining Coastal Conservative News, ladies. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Jake.
Well, I am a guy that wears many hats, and as you guys are as well. And right now, I'm still our executive director for the Tampa Bay Young Republicans. I am our state committee man for the next 2 years for the Florida Young Republicans. I'm our international chair for the Young Republicans. So a lot with the Young Republicans, all the way from local to international. And then the most recent, additional appointment that I got is the Doge committee for Hillsborough County, which is probably what we have the most to talk about. So
absolutely,
yeah, that's
exciting.
Yeah, amongst all the other fun things that I do. So.
Well, and I find it exciting because so this is something that I know DeSantis talked about on the state level. Maybe you can help educate us, Jake. Is this something that every county throughout Florida should be doing, or are they given the option and the opportunity?
Well, it is something, obviously, that every county should be doing. I mean, you could just see what the average person loves what Elon Musk is doing up in the federal government. I mean, who isn't for getting rid of waste? The only people that aren't are people who are making money from it in some way, or you're such an activist for government employees. That's it. That's it. So everybody that on average is like, yeah, stop wasting money. Our government needs to stop wasting money. So every county should be doing it. Every county has had the opportunity to voluntarily say, hey, we're going to participate with the state Doge effort. And Hillsborough County actually did. We've got a conservative majority now, and they actually did say we're gonna comply and we're gonna give out our data and blah blah blah. And then now you see like our new CFO Blaze is going out and saying, hey, we're actually going to send a demand letter now to Gainesville, and we're going to send one to Broward County because they're not complying, because they're the liberal strongholds that are probably wasting money tenfold. So every county is probably going to get some version of Doge. It's going to be about what kind of data they get. It's going to be about how effective they are. And then ultimately, like what the commissioners of that county actually do with that information. Are they going to cut? These committees are great, for identifying, but like we don't actually have any power to do it. It's not like it's the same thing with Elon Musk. He needs Congress to actually go and make the cuts. So right now in Florida, we're getting closer. I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be a fun adventure to try to dig through $10 billion of Hillsborough County's budget for this year and see where we're wasting money. And I can bet there's some ways.
So is that your primary function, is being appointed to this committee, is to go through the budget and figure out what is being wasted where?
Yeah, it's the same general idea that they're doing at the federal government, which is, hey, we spend all this money. Where is it going? Nobody ever really audits us. I mean, they say they audit them, right? There's an auditor that comes out and says, oh, yeah, they passed the audit, but that doesn't mean anything. Right. It really is like, okay, no one ever takes the time to go and look into like, are we overpaying in these contracts? And the answer is always yes, right? Yes. And have we put these contracts out to bid anytime recently? Probably not. Have we, are we doing like DEI initiatives? Are we spending money on stuff that we have no business spending money on? Right. Probably. And so there are the good news for people and the bad news for politicians is that now there's a lot of new AI software that exists where we can go in and we can dig through a lot of this, and people will probably not be that happy. And I keep joking. I'm like, I think a lot of people are going to like me very soon, but I think a lot of people are going to hate me very soon. It's like, if you start actually finding things. It's not your first rodeo
experiencing that, though, Jake. I mean, you did run for state house, and you got a lot of hate for that. So it's not new.
it's part of the job. I mean, like, again, it's the whole man in the arena thing. Like, if you're going to get involved in politics, like, I mean, you just have to expect half the people to hate you. And but the goal for politics is always to have 51% of people like you, while the other 49% kind of hate you. So
I like that. Jake, let me ask you, because I live in Sarasota County. What can we do across the state? Just let our viewers know. How can we find out if our county has come on board with initiating a Doge committee? And if they haven't, what can we do to try to start one in our own local area?
So a lot of the counties have voluntarily said yes. I can't remember if Sarasota did or not. You'd have to look up if they've taken a vote on it yet to establish that kind of commission. Okay. If they haven't, then you should go bother them. You should go into committees, and then, make some calls up to the state. And our CFO is being very aggressive about it right now and saying, hey, he's coming. He just actually, I think, sent a letter to Manatee County as well, which is a Republican county. And it's like, what are you guys doing down there too? So I think the state's taking it very seriously. I think our CFO is taking it very seriously. And I think that some counties are probably trying to avoid getting some extra scrutiny, but I think we're getting there with most of them. And if they're not, then bother your county commissioners.
I love that. I love that. So let me ask you one other question. As a member of the Doge committee, are your meetings, are they something that you invite the public to? I assume you guys keep minutes that will be available to the public. This is done with full transparency. That's the whole purpose of it, right?
Yeah. Look, I just got the letter 3 days ago that says that you're on this thing. It's never existed before. So it's a 1-year appointment, and we'll see. It's only 5 members. So I don't think anybody quite knows how it's going to work and what the process is. I don't know if we're electing a chair for it. I don't know. There's a lot of question marks with it. It's just, we're in the beginning stages of figuring out how it's going to work logistically, but I can tell you that I'm ready to jump in, and I've already, like I said, had some calls with some people and see what we can do to bring something straight to the table right away and start digging.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
I know you were going to give a lot of your suggestions. I mean, you've run a business very successfully with marketing, and you've helped other people run for campaigns and things of that nature. You give a lot of great advice. And so I'm excited to see you on the Doge committee in Hillsborough County, our own hometown.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can figure out what the heck the school board's been doing. I mean, they keep saying they're passing audits, but they want to, increase millage taxes. It's just insane. So I can't wait to see what that looks like.
You know what, Allie? I think that this is something that's already come up. I've had people say, are you guys going to go look at the school boards? And the answer is, unfortunately, no, because it's not the same budget, right? The county's got their budget. School board has an entirely different budget. And let me tell you, they need to audit and Doge these school boards more than the counties, probably, because nobody checks in on them. They won't even get an audit done at all. So that's the next step on this, I think, is the state pressuring each one of these school boards with $4 billion budgets like we do in Hillsborough County.
It's bigger than the Secret
Service.
It
is.
Doesn't make any sense. How does Hillsborough County have a bigger school budget than the Secret Service it's national?
Well, you'll enjoy this. The last conversation I had with our superintendent here, I said to him, we have a $4 billion budget now. I'm 4 years ago, it was 2, right? So in 4 years, the budget's almost doubled. And I'm we didn't build a stadium. So where did the money go? And how do we still not have money? So it's this crazy thing that's happened in Florida, especially, where you had all of these people move in from COVID and all that. Yeah. They increased the property taxes. They bought new houses, blah, 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 blah. And now all of a sudden they've got double the budget in 4 years. Again, they didn't build some giant grand, stadium with this thing, and they didn't give it to a bunch of kids, and they didn't get new air conditioning for everybody.
They still
so what did they do?
Oh my gosh, I love that you said that. Our air conditioning systems are still garbage. They still crap out every now and then. Our students still can't read and write on level. We're graduating students at a 50% rate, and I think it's 50 or 40% of them can't read and write on a fourth grade level. And we also can't pay our teachers what they deserve to be paid. Yeah. This is ridiculous. On a $4 billion budget, somebody needs to create a Doge there. Maybe I'll I don't know.
Allie, I just saw it get brighter over here.
I think you'd be excellent. I think you'd be excellent on a school board Doge committee. I think that would be a good place for you to start working on bothering somebody about, because this is how, I had this conversation actually with somebody who's down in Broward County who's been complaining about all of the waste that goes on there. And I said to him, the good thing about Florida is that if you kind of just show up as a Republican, as a Democrat, you're probably not going to get a lot done. But as a Republican, if you show up and you're persistent and you kind of bother city, state, local, everybody, you can kind of get things done. You really can kind of just do things. And so when there's an effort that makes sense, and then the governor likes it and the state house likes it, they're yeah, good idea. Why don't we do that? We should be doing that. Right. And so you actually get a lot done here in the state of Florida.
Absolutely. Jake, we're so grateful that you joined us. You're giving us ideas of not only, we always try to give a call to action to our viewers. This is something that we can do is reach out to our city or county commissioners as well as our school board. I know our school board here in Sarasota does an audit, but they blatantly tell you that they're not looking for, for any kind of misappropriations. They're looking for like screaming errors that they might see in accounting. So that's something that we need to Doge. We need to Doge all over
the place.
That sounds like a great initiative that all of your viewers should be able to take action on immediately, is start pressuring the state to do school board Doge, committees. Maybe great. External. And then they don't get approved by the school board. That's the biggest thing. Don't let the school board try to approve them.
100%. Well, you guys know that local action equals national impact, and Jake Hoffman is being the sharpest tip of the spear in his circle of influence. So we need to emulate that and practice what you are preaching. Thank you so much, Jake, for joining us today. We hope to have you on soon.
Thank you, ladies. Anytime.
Bye.
Bye.
And finally tonight, Florida may be redrawing the political map. Literally.
Interesting. Due to mass migration to Florida over the past 5 years, obviously because we tried to keep our state open as much as possible through COVID, Governor DeSantis says the state may need to revisit congressional districts as population surges and reshapes the electoral landscape. I mean, that makes sense. Take a look at this clip.
Districting. I had to veto their map a couple years ago, and I'm just like, guys, I'm going to veto it. And they did it, and Blaze stood with me, one of the few who was right. And so I vetoed this map, which was a disaster, and then we got a better map and got it done. And just last week, the Florida Supreme Court upheld the map that all the naysayers were saying was somehow defective. I think if you look at that Florida Supreme Court analysis, there may be more defects that need to be remedied apart from what we've already done. I also think the way the population has shifted around Florida just since the census was done in 2020, I think the state is malapportioned. So I do think it would be appropriate to do a redistricting here in the mid-decade. So we're working through what that would look like. But I can tell you, just look at how population has shifted in different parts of the state over a 4 or 5 year period. It's been really significant. I don't think you've seen. And you'll look at some of these congressional races, and one district will get a certain number of votes and the other get way more votes. And I'm thinking, isn't this supposed to be apportioned equally? I also would like I talked with the Commerce Secretary right when he got sworn in, and I told him, Florida, we got a raw deal in the census. We only got 1 seat. When some of these other states were getting seats, when we've obviously had more growth, we should have gotten at least 2. And so they said they were going to redo the count in time for 2026. Now, they would have to do that relatively soon because you need time to draw maps and you need time to get that done. But I think they should award Texas and Florida for sure at least 1 more seat, because when Biden took over, we were supposed to get 2 seats in Florida, and we only got 1. Rhode Island was supposed to lose a seat, and guess who the Commerce Secretary under Biden was? Former governor of Rhode Island. Did Rhode Island end up losing a seat? No, they kept both. So we're malapportioned right now as a country, I think, because of the migration, and but the state of Florida, I think, for sure. So I think there's ample justification to do it. My guys are going through the court's opinion to look at different avenues, but I think that's definitely something that I certainly would look at.
More residents means more representation and potentially more seats in Congress for Florida.
And if that happens, you can bet Florida's voice in Washington will only get louder
and stronger.
Much stronger.
It better be. All right, from enforcement to education, from budgeting to the ballot box, Florida is showing what leadership really looks like when you're driven by principle instead of politics.
And guys, when Washington fumbles, Florida fires forward boldly, effectively, and really unapologetically.
Thanks for joining us tonight on Political Pulse.
And now we will go to Kevin with this week's Faith in Focus.
Hello and welcome back to Faith in Focus. Today we're diving into the profound and transformative world of near-death experiences, or NDEs, where thousands of people across the cultures and centuries report strikingly similar encounters with the afterlife. We'll also take a deep look at the remarkable story of Dr. Eben Alexander, a Harvard-trained neurosurgeon whose own NDE challenged everything he thought he knew about the brain, consciousness, and the nature of reality. Stay with us. This is going to be an incredible journey. Near-death experiences have fascinated humanity for generations. From ancient texts to modern accounts, people have come close to death, often described vivid, otherworldly experiences, tunnels of light, encounters with angelic beings, feelings of overwhelming love, and a sense of being connected to something far greater than themselves. What's striking is how consistent these stories are, regardless of the person's background, religion, or culture. Thousands of NDE reports share common elements: a sense of leaving the body, moving through a tunnel, encountering loved ones or spiritual beings, and experiencing a life review where every moment is relived with profound clarity. These similarities suggest that NDEs might be more than just random firings of a dying brain. They could point to a deeper truth about consciousness and what lies beyond. But what does science say? For years, skeptics have argued that NDEs are hallucinations, dreams, or chemical reactions in a brain under stress. Yet one man's story challenges that explanation in a way that's hard to dismiss. Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon with over 25 years of experience, including 15 years at Harvard Medical School, was a firm believer in the materialistic view that consciousness is entirely a product of the brain. That is until November 10, 2008, when a rare and deadly bacterial meningitis attacked his brain, plunging him into a week-long coma. His story, detailed in his best-selling book, Proof of Heaven, is one of the most compelling NDE accounts ever recorded, and I recommend everybody check that book out. Let's set the stage. Dr. Alexander woke up one morning with a severe back pain and a blinding headache. Within hours, he was in a coma, his brain ravaged by E. coli bacteria. His doctors gave him less than a 2% chance of survival, and even if he did survive, they expected him to remain in a vegetative state. His neocortex, the outer layer of the brain responsible for thought, memory, and consciousness, was completely shut down. Neurologically, this was as close to death as one could get without crossing over permanently. His CT scans showed global neocortical damage, and his cerebrospinal fluid readings were catastrophic. A glucose level of 1 milligram compared to normal 60 to 80, and a white blood cell count of 43,000 per cubic millimeter. In short, his brain was not functioning. According to everything he knew as a neurosurgeon, he should have had no awareness, no memories, no experience at all. Yet during those 7 days, Dr. Alexander describes an extraordinary journey. He found himself in a vivid, hyper-real spiritual realm, far more vibrant and coherent than any dream or hallucination. He recalls a lush valley with cascading waterfalls, a sky filled with butterflies, and a radiant being, a woman with high cheekbones, deep blue eyes, who guided him on a butterfly's wing. He felt an overwhelming sense of love and connection, cycling through realms from a primitive earthly domain to a radiant core filled with the infinite presence of a loving deity. He describes this as a hyper-real experience, far more vivid than anything in his waking life, with lessons about the interconnectedness of all souls and the internal nature of consciousness. What makes Dr. Alexander's case so extraordinary is the medical impossibility of this experience. The neocortex, the part of the brain responsible for constructing complex thoughts, emotions, and memories, was completely inoperative during his coma. Given the severity of my meningoencephalitis, my brain was incapable of providing any hallucination, dream, or psychic drug effect. He tested 9 scientific hypotheses to explain his experience. Things like drug effects, confabulation, or a reboot of the brain as it regained function, but none held under scrutiny. Let's unpack that. If the neocortex is offline, as confirmed by his medical records, how could Dr. Alexander have such a vivid, structured experience? Dreams and hallucinations require an active brain, yet his was effectively shut off completely. This changes the materialist view of consciousness is solely a product of neural activity. Alexander argues that his NDE suggests consciousness exists independently of the brain, perhaps a soul connected to a greater universal consciousness. For months after his coma, he discovered that the radiant woman who guided him was his birth sister, whom he had never met and who had died years earlier. A detail that further deepened his conviction that his experience was real. Skeptics like neurologist Oliver Sacks argue that NDEs like Alexander's could occur as the brain reboots when coming out of a coma, producing hallucinations that feel real. But Alexander counters that complexity and interactivity of his experience, spanning what felt like years, could not have happened in the fleeting moments of recovery. He also points out that his memories were not disjointed or dreamlike as hallucinations typically are, but cohesive and purposeful with a narrative structure unlike anything produced by a malfunctioning brain. Dr. Alexander's story isn't just a personal transformation, it's a call to rethink what we believe about life and death. His experience aligns with thousands of other NDEs where people report meeting deceased loved ones, encountering divine beings, or feeling a profound unity with the universe. These shared elements suggest that NDEs might offer a glimpse into a reality beyond the physical. As Alexander writes, the conventional reductive materialist model is fundamentally flawed. Consciousness itself is the fundament of all existence. His journey has inspired millions to question whether death is truly the end or merely a transition to something greater. As people of faith, these stories resonate deeply. They remind us that our souls may be eternally connected to a divine source of love and wisdom. Dr. Alexander's NDE didn't just change his life, it's challenging science to expand its understanding of consciousness and inviting us all to live with greater compassion and gratitude and awareness. That's all for today's Faith in Focus. Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep the faith. God bless.
Thank you, Kevin, for keeping our Faith in Focus front and center this week.
Guys, for Coastal Conservative News, I'm Michelle Posey.
And I'm Allie Leger.
We'll see you next week at 7 p.m.
God bless you. God bless the great state of Florida and America.